When we're finished reading this book today, we're going to explore our homes and use our new meter stick, maybe a tape measure. Maybe you want to get out your bathroom scale to weigh something, or if you have a handy thermometer, that would be a good measuring tool as well. So let's take a look at this book. Let's Measure with Tools by Christine N. Castile. Have you ever measured anything? What did you measure? How did you measure it? Let's measure with tools. Has anyone ever measured you? How did they measure you? Whether I'm at home or in school, I can measure with a tool. Have you ever been to the grocery store and noticed a scale in the produce area? Do you have a bathroom scale at home? A thermometer measures temperature. A scale measures weight. A ruler measures length and height. Measuring is great. How tall is the picture frame? Which tool will you choose? When measuring height, which tool do you use? A ruler can measure height in inches or centimeters. How tall is this picture frame? Look closely. How warm is it today? Which tool will you choose? When measuring temperature, which tool do you use? A thermometer can measure temperature in degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. How warm is it outside? How much do the toys weigh? Which tool will you choose? When measuring weight, which tool do you use? A scale can measure weight in pounds or kilograms. How much do the toys weigh? Look closely. Can you tell? How long is the guinea pig? Which tool will you choose? When measuring length, which tool do you use? A ruler can measure length in inches or centimeters. How long is the guinea pig? Take a close look here. Now it's time to give you a little quiz. I measure temperature with a, you repeat that. I measure temperature with a, I measure temperature with a ruler. Do you? No. What do you measure temperature with? I measure temperature with a thermometer. Good. Next one. I measure weight with a ruler? No. I measure weight with a scale. You say it. I measure weight with a scale. Next one. I measure length and height with a thermometer? No. I measure length and height with a ruler. Measuring is great. Let's go ahead and repeat after me. Are you ready to repeat after me? I measure temperature with a thermometer. You say it. I measure weight with a scale. You repeat it. I measure length and height with a ruler. You say it. Measuring is great. Let's see how you do with these. Look at these things. Which tool would you use to measure each one? What would you use? What would you find out? Okay, let's take a look. So, what would you use to measure this pencil? I would use a ruler to find out how long it is. I would use a blank to find out blank. I would use a ruler to find out how long the pencil is. What could you measure with this? This fish tank. What tool could you use? One example would be, I could measure the temperature of the water using a thermometer. I could use a thermometer to measure the temperature of the water. What about this little guy down here, this Shar-Pei? We could use a scale. We could use a scale to measure his weight. Practice saying those sentences. I can use a ruler to measure the length of a pencil. I could use a thermometer to measure the temperature of the water. I could use a scale to measure the weight of this dog. Let's practice the same sentence frames with these. I could use a blank. I could use a ruler to measure the length of the frame. I could use a scale to measure the weight of the grapes. I could use a thermometer to measure the temperature of the outside air. I could use a scale to measure the weight of the radishes, or I could use a ruler to measure the length of the bundle or the size of the bundle of radishes. Experiment with your sentence frames. Maybe there's more than one tool you could use for each one. Have some fun with that. Now it's time to measure you. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? This looks fun. We're going to estimate and then measure. Let's take a look at this recorder. First, estimate how long you think this is. And put your estimate in your first box. And you can use your whiteboard for this. Now, get out your measuring tape or your meter stick and see how many inches long this recorder is. Now, before you measure it, estimate how long you think the dog bone is. When I say estimate, I mean give it your best guess. How many inches long is the dog bone? Now, measure it and compare your estimate to the actual measurement. And go ahead and do the same thing with this toy fish. Estimate how long it is, then write the true estimate. Then do the same thing with this vase. Estimate how tall it is, guess how tall it is, and then measure it. Have fun!